excited to at least inaugurate today as the Kaiser University Wellness Center, and we're looking forward to more activities. So I was just speaking to Amy, and she said that she would start teaching us how to crochet, which is a very mindful activity. So I think that we can really make use of this space and congregate and have some mental health, some spiritual health, some emotional health, and some physical health in this space. So, everybody have a partner? Okay, so we're going to do a few activities today. We're going to start with this one, and then we'll sort of talk about what mindfulness is. So what I would like for you to do is get with your partner and untie the knots that are in your string.
Okay, I need my glasses.
Where are those strings? Untie. I want you to take out the knots. Take out the knots that are in the string.
Untie
the knots and work together. Some of you have one, some of you have two, some of you have three. Don't worry about it. Just try to untie those knots.
Okay.
And I'm just going to walk around and observe. No cheating. No hands. Just your hands. Just help each other. So untie the knots. JC, what are you doing with Laris? Getting a pair.
No, it's not gonna happen.
And we're just going to help one another. She's your cheering squad. No earring. No pen. Just your hands.
This is engineering applied. She said no profit.
You guys in a pair? You want you? Or not yet? I can't send it. You guys get together. We're untying the knots that are in your string. And once you finish untying, if you haven't signed in, go ahead and sign in.
And if we don't finish,
I'll tell you. Yes. No snacks for you. Akil, do it with Chris. How's that going?
not going very well.
Okay, you have about 30 seconds.
Oh, no.
No? No pen, no earring, no cutting. This team is trying to be resourceful.
What else?
We're in teams and work together to take apart the knots that are in your string.
I like to tie it knot again.
Work together. No mouth. Not your mouth, just your hands. And work in a team.
No, he made it.
Just your fingers.
There's chairs right there in that first desk.
Let's start again.
It's stressful. This one wants to be MacGyver. Others are rolling their eyes. What convenience! Look, Maddie came right in to help you. We're joining in teams, and we're taking out the knots from the string.
Oh, I got this. Give that to me.
No tools, just your fingers.
Wow.
Here, help this me. We're in teams of, no earrings. No earrings. Solution, problem solving, MacGyver.
Hold on to one.
JC's back there with his
Well, just speculating.
speculation. Jason, just your hands.
No, don't.
No.
Inflated. Inflated.
What do you see, JC?
A little bit of air.
Air, okay.
You know, a little light.
Eileen
a little
is
light
very
shine to it. That means
concentrated.
I'm
She
gaining.
has not lifted her eyes off of that knot since we started this. She is
very determined, okay?
This is a very telling activity of how people think and how people interact with problems.
Yeah.
I got it.
Larry's is like done, give up.
Time's up with that.
Dietetics team is working in communion.
Show them where.
Okay, 10 seconds. 10 we're taking out the knot from the ribbon.
And you have 10 seconds to.
And you've got 10 seconds. Chris is gonna tear that apart.
I got it. I got it.
Okay.
No help,
Let me see it.
just hands.
Okay, time's up. Put your string down. Okay, so I hear it's really tight. I saw some eye rolling. Over here, this team over here, every single thought that you can imagine. The shoe, the earring, the pen, anything but focused on the activity. Doesn't mean it's a criticism or not, it's problem solving. But activities like this are to show sometimes how easily frustrated or angered we can get. And we've all been in situations like that in the workplace, right? I know many of you are hungry because you didn't get to eat at the faculty meeting.
Yeah.
So you have to wait, that can cause frustration and anger. But it's interesting to hear the dialogue or to see the facial expressions as everyone was trying to do a practically impossible task. And this is a big thing with mindfulness, is observing our negative thoughts. Observing our thoughts and how they take away from our daily life, okay? So I have a little gimmick on the board. Is your mind full or is your mind full? How many of you think that your mind is full? Yes. Double hand for the students. Okay? And most of us are. So what is mindfulness? You guys, besides inaugurating our wellness center and hearing that I'm going to teach and, whatnot, you guys came to learn something today. What do you think you learned in a mindfulness workshop? What's it about?
Being present, being in the present moment.
Okay, being in the present moment. What else? Focus. Okay, a change in attitude.
Notice yourself.
Awareness.
Yeah, notice yourself.
Focusing on yourself. Absolutely. All of these are. So what is mindfulness? I have two definitions by two key leaders in mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is not a matter of explaining and solving. I heard problem solving with some of you, but of experiencing and describing. What or whom can describe to me what you experienced with this activity?
Frustration.
Frustration. Okay, who else?
Success.
Success. Okay, and then of course, the commentary.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay, interesting. What else?
Patience.
Concentration.
Encouragement. Okay, you were encouraging her. Okay, what else?
Want to be patient somewhere.
Okay, that there's a catch. Oh, wondering. Okay, that's fair. What else?
Patience.
Patience. You said something, Larry?
Patience.
You said patience also? Okay. So, one of the things that we want to get better at with mindfulness activities is expressing our emotions. Expressing, putting words to what we're feeling. Okay? So I'm going to give you a questionnaire. And I want you to take a few minutes. What I'd like is, and there's going to be a series of 8 weeks, and we're going to do this each week. So I want you to start seeing if you notice improvements with each of these. And you're gonna get homework today. Because I'm a therapist, I get homework, okay? So we're gonna do a few
You don't have to do
activities
this
today that
Just
I'm
look
gonna
at
ask
it,
you
you
to
can take it
repeat
home.
throughout the week on your own time and I'm gonna give you some logs so that you can make notations.
Do homework too.
Okay? So if you don't have a pen, don't worry about it. There is a grading scale at the back. It's for your own personal use, but we're going to just go through a few of these so we can see what mindfulness is about. So for instance, when I'm walking, I deliberately notice the sensations of my body moving. No. And we know that about you because we hear your shoes, and we know that you're like, we all know it was Luciana's coming in and out of the bathroom. So, some ideas. One of the weeks, and if you have not gone upstairs, I forgot, she'll have to tell me what room it's in, I think it's like 224, 234 or something. I have a huge labyrinth upstairs. And one of the weeks, we're actually gonna do a walking meditation. We're gonna be very aware of our walking. If you have some time, or Arlene, you're like, oh, you could go upstairs and walk it
Thank you, ma'am.
on your own. It looks dirty, but don't worry, take your shoes off and enjoy it.
It is really
It's a
dirty.
very relaxing thing, and we're gonna do that one of the weeks. And we're gonna do a walking meditation. So these are some of the things that we can start paying attention to. I'm good at finding words to describe my feelings. So you said frustrated, immediately. And that's what I felt when I did the activity. I'm like, this is frustrating, this is annoying. Like, are you kidding me? Who expects me to undo this? And I really paid attention to my negative thoughts. So finding ways to put words to our emotions. I criticize myself for having irrational or inappropriate emotions. I heard a lot of criticism, a lot of self-judgment, as I was observing you guys trying to take out the knots. This is something that I notice with my students all the time. Granted, it's psychology. But give your students back a test. Give your students, I'm sorry?
I'm not problem.
On that problem, and see how critical they get of themselves. Can you guys attest to that as students? It's almost having a bar set for yourself that unless you meet that bar, you're imperfect. Mindfulness helps you realize that you're exactly where you need to be, as you are, and really pay attention to the sensations in your body when you're criticizing yourself, just as those when you're accepting yourself. So mindfulness is a practice where we really want to learn self-acceptance and self-love. Hi. A few more. I perceive my feelings and emotions without having to react to them. Did anyone notice with the activity, whether it was frustration or aggression or anger, but you just kept past it and didn't pay attention and just kept your focus on what you were doing? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I didn't feel like anger or something.
Okay.
For me, it was a game, and I tried to do it, and I focused on that.
Okay, excellent. And that's an excellent attitude to have. Life is a game. Life is a game. None of us have the rules. We don't know if we're winning or we're losing. We have these arbitrary ideas of whether it's winning or losing, but we're all in it together and we're all experiencing the same thing. So thank you, that's excellent. When I do things, my mind wanders off and I'm easily distracted. Did anyone just get distracted onto looking at what someone else was doing? Or, just sort of like off into another world, thought about what they're having for lunch or what they have left to do for the rest of the day before they can leave. Oftentimes, we're just constantly living in the past and in the future. And mindfulness, as many of you said, is about being in the present. How many of you think that the past and the future has to do with ego? Why?
Why? Because you're just like in a constant war with yourself, with your past experiences, and where you're gonna be in the future. So it's just kind of like this ego thing that you're like, I need to be here, cause, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a competition, an inner competition. What I was, what I had, or what I need to be, or what I will be. And none of those things serve us. So we really want to focus back to what we are at this exact moment. So we're going to do a few activities, okay? So anyone ever hear of the quote? So take a moment, and you could do this later, but I want you to do this because we're going to do this each week, and I want you, for your own sort of self-acknowledgement, to see if you've shifted anything during the weeks. Anyone ever hear a quote, all is mind?
Like mind over matter.
Okay, like mind over matter. What comes to mind when you read all is mind?
Everything's
The mind controls everything.
Everything. This is metaphysical concept number 1. It's written in every tradition, in every philosophy. This particular short adage is from a book called the Kabbalion. It's a very tiny, powerful book with metaphysical laws. Everything is the mind. The difficulty or the frustration or the anger or the teamwork or the success, Chris, it's all your mind that decided how you were going to tackle that. It dictates everything. How many of you are familiar with the mind-body connection? The mind dictates it all.
Mind over body.
Today we had a student in my class who had fever. We were talking about the link of fever and anger. And we started detailing how the anger sort of built up because of something she's having personal problems with at home. Everything you're feeling physically, everything you felt when you were looking for all these, of course you're a mathematician, of course you're looking for problem solving, it's logical, it's in your, it's in your psyche. All is linked back to the mind. The mind is in control of all of it. So if we can control the mind rather than the mind controlling us, we then win. For those of you who are competitive. Breathe.
Breathing exercise.
Oh, breathing, yes. Are you keeping me on
Yes,
task? Okay.
yeah,
So we have a lot
you're
to
running
do,
late.
and I'm like, I'm terrified. I have too little to do in the hour, and now she's telling me. So,
Also, whenever you want to do the tea.
oh, we do have hot tea. I forgot. Green tea. Please help yourself. I'll let you guys take care of that. Okay.
That's hot water in the thermos. There's tea bags.
So before we begin our other activities that are more fun, I want to talk about observe, describe, and participate. What comes to mind when you hear the words observe, describe, and participate?
Learning.
You're learning something.
Okay, learning something, what was that? Listening, okay. Taking it all in, all of those are accurate. Mindfulness is first observing. Today we're going to do a few activities about observing our body, observing our breath, observing the mind, and observing the senses. The senses are our friends, but they can also be an enemy. Because everything comes in through the senses. And we want to, just like we want to learn to control the mind, we want to learn to control the senses. Next is describe. After we do these activities, this is interactive, those of you that participate are going to describe what you felt, like you did a moment ago with your string. And participation. Everything with mindfulness is about participation. You have to be present, you have to be here. If you haven't, please take off your phones, give yourself the next 30 minutes, just so that we can be with one another, and mostly you with yourself. So if you have a last minute text to send it, grab your cup of tea, and we'll start with some activities.